Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What is up? Dave, Duncan, Kyle from Metal Epidemic, back with another album review. And for this review, Duncan, Kyle and I have been checking out the new album from singer-guitarist and songwriter 40 Watt Sun, aka Patrick Walker. The new album, Perfect Light, will be released on Cappio Records digitally and through Svart Records for CD and vinyl. Perfect Light is the first 40 Watt Sun album created without a full formal band structure. Patrick enlisted an array of accomplished musicians to fulfill his vision for the album, including, among others, Andrew Prestige, Roland Scriver, Ajit Gill, Lorraine Rath, and pianist-composer Chris Redman.
I thought you said PS. I swear to God, I thought you said penis composer. And I was
Penis
like, oh
composer.
my God. What is a penis composer? How do I get that job? Well, I need to write my CV. I will make it happen.
It's like a florist. You have a bouquet of them.
Bunch of dicks. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Right.
This album was recorded over the course of a year at Chat Bazaar Studios in Hertfordshire by Theodore Haworth and Holy Mountain Studios in London by Chris Fullard. The writing process was a fluid process that continued as the album unfurled. Perfect Light reflects a period of transition and a new way of writing and recording for Patrick. So, gentlemen, we have been waiting on this one. I've had a couple of wee messages here and there. You know, Dave, is it here yet? Dave, when you sending it? Dave,
Sorry, Dave.
Send it now.
Sorry, Dave.
Can you please turn on the 40 Watt Sun?
Let me apologise for being keen. Then realise that was a crime here, to be keen to review things.
It's not a crime.
I'm sorry.
It was just at that kind of period of the year where, things were settling down, the end
Kept
of the year.
sending emails. Just want to stress.
There was a couple.
Emails kept coming through. Like, you were settling down, but emails were still coming through, Dave.
Couple emails. One or two.
5 or 6 albums.
5 or 6.
7 or 8 between friends. What am I saying?
Who's counting?
Yeah.
But yeah, Duncan, you were particularly keen on this particular album. So I'm going to start with you because I'd quite like to hear how you got on with this album from 40 Watt Sun, seeing as it was one that was on your list of must-listens in 2022.
Yep.
How did you get on with this? What did you think of it?
So yeah, the single for this dropped, the first single, The Spaces in Between, dropped months ago, and I became marginally obsessed with it. And when I say marginally obsessed with it, I think I've listened to it like 100 times. And it's, I'm not even joking, I think I've listened to it about 100 times. It's about a 10-minute track as well, and it's totally not the sort of stuff I would usually listen to at all. I tend to be, even on the stuff that's more kind of laboured in terms of pace, I'm not a big kind of everything stripped back. It's kind of one man, his piano and an acoustic guitar. Not for huge, you know what I mean? Like for a long time. I tend to like that in like smaller sections and albums. And this one does buck the trend of a lot of the instrumentation, Dave, that I would be keen to use in music, synthesizers, cool things like synthesizers. But there was something, I think specifically there was something about the vocal register and the lyrics and the melody of the song that just really captured. It felt honest. Right, that was what I kept coming back to that word when I was trying to describe it to people that I wanted to listen to. No, it's like that guy that does all the memes for the History Channel meme where he's like that aliens. That's kind of what I was like here, result of that. But I was going like that 40 Watts on, and I was actually sending it to people going, give this a try, and they were like, oh, it's like what's it like? And I'm like, It's not heavy. And they were like, are you all right? And I was like, yes. Aliens.
Yes.
So it really, really, really stripped back. So what I was curious about was what the rest of the album was going to be like. And then the second single dropped, and believe it or not, the second single, much of the same. Very stripped back, very kind of raw, emotional, uplifting, melancholic. And I was kind of starting to think to myself, did he just pick the two? Because I, like, very much like yourself, I'm aware of his previous stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, did he just pick the two, like, slowest ballads on the entire album and just put them out as singles? Because that's ballsy. Yeah. That is ballsy. Yeah. And I listened to the entire album, and the entire album is that. And whilst that might be off-putting, I actually think it works wonders for him, because the thing that I keep coming back to, specifically with 40 Watt Sun, is authenticity. This is really authentic music. This is a guy who has a vision of what he wants to do, and implements it really, really, really well, with no need to rush anything up. Like there's like, it's almost like songwriting convention is, here's the rule book for writing a song that will sell lots. There's the window. Hey, because like the songs are all long. It comes from a doom background, so the songs are all kind of doom song length. So you're talking like well over the 7-minute mark, comfortably over the 7-minute mark. And the construction of the songs are very much around motifs rather than like specifically, here's a verse, here's a chorus, here's a verse. Yeah. It's repeated use of motifs through the songs, but he is constantly building upon them, which I love, right? It's very, and I'm going to use names that are upset Dave, but Nine Inch Nails use a similar, don't roll your eyes, this is 2022, and if I want to talk about Trent Reznor, Grammy award-winning, Oscar award-winning Trent Reznor, I will do on this fucking show, right? But he utilises the same thing. It's a play upon a motif. You have a central motif, and then he keeps building upon the idea. It's essentially what Patrick's doing here. But what I love about it is just when you feel that you've got a grasp of where the song is going, that's when he changes it up. And it could be something as very simple as he transitioned to another key for just a section, and then bringing it back down. And that's what essentially would break up what I would say would be a doom monotony on this album. It's all the transitions and its instrumentation. Vocally, this is so fucking honest. It's unbelievable. I've been accused in the past of being a bit of a robot. I understand why people say that. I don't sleep much. I have a weird, like, just drive all the time and far too much energy. That I very seldom like feel myself getting emotional about things I listen to. Yeah. And 40 Watt Sun seems to be my Achilles heel, my kryptonite, if you will. Not that I'm saying I'm Superman, but look at these abs. But I did. The thing about it was, when I was listening to certain, especially the lyrics are fucking gorgeous. With these melodies and the music in the background, I almost became transfixed in the listening process. Like, time was not a concept anymore. Like, you get very easily disorientated as to how long you've been listening to a song. Like, a song that may roll in at 8 minutes, by about the halfway mark, so about the 4.5 minutes, you can be sitting there thinking, how long have I actually been listening to this song? Like, how long's it actually left? But not in a negative way. It's almost like you want to occupy that safe space for a long time, like longer than, and at times like songs would finish and I'd be like, no, just play it one more time. just play that hook one more time. I think this is an incredibly accomplished album. I think the production is spotless. Just every instrument just perfect and immaculate and clean and organic and earthy and rich and warm. And I think every nuance is perfect. The register of his voice, the way it, like, sometimes it doesn't quite break, but it feels like it's, almost breaking. With the melodies, it's just a gorgeous fucking album. Now, I'm going to caveat this for anyone that's checking this out. This album is 1 hour and 8 minutes long. It has one particular pace, and that pace is slow. And if you are logging into this to get a, like, something with balls, then this is not the album for you. This is very much a mood piece. You pick your time in the day to sit down and listen to it, and you listen to the whole thing. This is not I'm just going to check it and check it track out 3 and then that's me done. To me, this is a full listening experience front to back. I've listened to it a lot at night, which helps, and it's, you know, it's one of those ones where a good set of headphones, a darkened room, you can feel yourself just being absorbed by the music itself. If this is the direction that Patrick's moving as a transition, or even if this is where he wants to stay, I am overjoyed. I think, and Dave mentioned off air, so you guys didn't mention him, well, hear him mentioning a particular group, but the way where the very first time I heard the first N minor single, and I kind of had an idea of what I was going to expect because it was Phil Anselmo, and I know Phil Anselmo stuff, and he does Down, and Dave's wearing a t-shirt, and you know, all this stuff. Like, you kind of had a feeling you knew what that was going to sound like, and then you listened to the first single and you were like, oh well, all bets are off. This is incredible, but it's in a different world. It's different. Like, I mean, this music necessarily doesn't fit in the bubble that we record and review in, but if not here, where? Like, you know, like 40 Watt Sun's not going to be picked up by the NME for review, and then they're going to start talking about his history in Doom. You know, it's not going to happen. So to me, it makes sense. But I just, if you're a musician, I just find this like captivating. I could not stop listening to tracks, and sometimes I felt tracks just should keep going and never stop. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It went beyond my expectations. This was one of my I can't wait to hear this albums of the year. And then I sat and listened to it for the first time through, and I was just like, just total massive sigh, sink in a chair, drift off somewhere else. Yeah, this is fucking great. It's absolutely fucking great, and it was the first album that I listened to in 2022. So I think this year's going to be great, guys. Nothing bad will happen. No gigs will be cancelled. Nothing. Everything's going to be great, and it all starts here. So yeah, I think this is fucking incredible. So yeah.
Excellent. Nice one. Kyle.
Hello. I'm here too.
I believe the words are ditto, right? So ditto Duncan. So.
No, I didn't get quite as many texts from yourself about this one. There was no real kind of Dave, come on, what's happening? You know, there was no hounding of, you know, what's going on with this album. But, you know, I thought, you know, Kyle's quite a cool cat. Sometimes, you know, just he likes to just let things come in, and then he surprises us on the day. We're like, whoa, Kyle loves this.
50s jazz pianist. So he's a cool cat. Oh, what's happening here? Who are you
composer,
right now?
yeah.
Discord.
So what did you think of this album from 40 Watt Sun? What'd you make of that?
Well, I could say I agree with a lot of the stuff that Duncan said about it.
Mm-hmm.
Except the part where I liked it. I mean, this is definitely not my thing. This is not where I find myself listening. If I'm going to choose something to listen to, or if I hear something like this, I almost probably skip it. I'm not into like stripped back, you know, pared down, very sparse things like this. Sometimes I am, but it's usually a version of a song that's more stripped back, like a cover of a song. Something like that. It's like, oh, that's an interesting idea. But this kind of stuff, it doesn't really speak to me that much. And I mean, I can appreciate what this has to offer because it's very, very, very well done. And I can pick out some really good things in the instrumentation, especially the production. It's absolutely flawless. Like Duncan said, it's spotless. It's so clean and organic at the same time. It's unbelievable. But I don't know. It just didn't grab me. It just didn't. No. And I don't know where the guy comes from. I've never heard of him. I've never heard of any of his other stuff. So this is not like a surprising departure from any type of style for me either. It's just sort of just washed over me, and I was like, "This is why was this sent to me?" No, I mean,
Duncan.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean,
guilty.
Yeah. Maybe it deserves a lot more re-listens because from hearing Duncan talk about it, it's got me a bit more excited. Like maybe I just need to dive deeper and maybe spend more time with it. I've only given it 3 or 4 because I've got to give it I've got to give it its the time to get to it. I can't just give it one half.
It's a mood thing. Like it's not the sort of thing that you can't like listen to Megadeth and then shove on 40 Watts on. Not that I'm accusing you of Megadeth listening, because I would never do that to you. But you know what I mean. It is very much you need to pick the right time and sit down and just no distractions, headphones on, and just let yourself.
I can imagine the time I would sit down and actually have this on and try and relax and take myself away from the world and just forget all of my troubles and all that kind of stuff. Maybe this past couple of weeks hasn't been the time for that.
No.
But I mean, I appreciate everything that's going on with this album, and I'll be happy to check out more stuff. But this one I don't know, it just wasn't for me. Yeah. At this point, it might change in a few weeks. You never know. So we'll see. But
okay, fair enough.
Dave's changed all the order, and so this feels all wrong. Dave, let's hand to you.
Just keeping it fresh in 2022.
Awkward is the one.
He's just making sure we've done our homework.
Wants to see our notes after class.
I had never really listened to 40 Watts on before, and when that usually happens, when I'm about to review something, I tend to go back, as I do, and kind of listen to what they did before.
Gotta go back in time.
And I did. I went back and listened to the previous album, Wider Than the Sky. And when I heard that album, I was kind of surprised that I'd never listened to this band before, because the style on that album is right up my street. I love that kind of atmospheric, droney, kind of immersive type stuff. Bands like Yezu and Mono are like continually on my playlist rotation. So I didn't really understand how I hadn't kind of come across this band before. As I mentioned, we got this in December, and kind of in between the kind of Christmas and New Year period, once the website had kind of closed its doors for the year.
Emails still getting sent. I just want to stress this. Every time he says that he closed the doors, what he means is that he didn't post things to the website, but continued to send emails.
There's a couple of scheduled emails maybe happened.
A couple of scheduled emails.
But once I kind of shut down, I did not listen to a single note of metal or anything kind of heavy for that matter. But by kind of late December, the Christmas songs had lost their merriment and were
late December.
Yeah,
you got that far into it.
Yeah, they were truly starting to do my fucking head in by that point. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'll give this 40 Watts an album a listen, because I'd heard the first single and I knew it was kind of tranquil. So I thought I'll put this on just to chill for a little bit, not expecting to kind of listen to the full album. But before I knew it, it was over. The album was finished, and I'd been right through the full album. And for me, this album was the perfect album to listen to in between 2021 going into 2022. And the point that I'm getting to here very slowly is that once you kind of hit play on this, just say goodbye to the outside world for the next hour or so, because this album will just pull you in and just keep you there without any kind of resistance at all. The big difference, obviously, as we mentioned, is this is a slightly more stripped back affair than in previous releases anyway. Patrick's vocals are kind of set against acoustic guitar, accompanied by a penis composer, piano, and a bit of percussion as well. And from the off, you can hear it's definitely more kind of minimalist, more introspective than the previous release. And because of that kind of bare bones type style, for me, I also felt much more of a connection with this. The kind of the bareness of it almost made it more intense for me.
There's nowhere to hide.
No,
you know what I mean. There's
not.
See with heavy bands, you can do a lot of tricks.
Yeah.
To hide a shitty riff. You know what I mean? You can have a shitty riff. You swing a synth over the top of it, all of a sudden things sound interesting. And music like this, that's why I kept using the word honest. There's nowhere to hide on it. If it sucks, it sucks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's so immersive. And I think because it's so kind of uncluttered musically, I felt I was completely drawn to his voice and the lyrics of each track. And after I'd listened to it once, I put it right back on again, and I listened to it the second time with we got like a lyric sheet through with the promo. So I actually sat and I read the lyrics as I was listening to the album, and it almost kind of made it more of an experience listening to this whilst I was reading it, like you were kind of living these songs as you were hearing them. And I shit you not that the second track on the album was a track called Behind My Eyes. It's the longest track on the album, 11 minutes 35. So like strap yourself in for a voyage on every track. But this track is just perfection. Like I was just about in tears sitting listening to this track. It was unbelievable. The melodies are absolutely haunting. The choice of like piano chords against the guitar is just bursting with feeling, and even at 11 and a half minutes I didn't feel like it dragged out or it was like meandering at any point. I was completely absorbed in it for the track's entirety, and as you said, Duncan, that Patrick's voice has just got so much character and so much emotion. I was just completely captivated by it for the whole album. And I love the fact that he's produced over an hour of material that's very folky and thoughtful, but each track very much still has its own appeal. Like this would have been easy to go wrong with, like where the album just ends up sounding like one big long song. Especially when that, as you say, the tempo and the pace is very similar throughout.
It doesn't really change much.
No, it doesn't really change at all. But the different kind of techniques that he uses, the kind of subtle style changes he uses with acoustic guitar, it kind of adds a different slant on each track. Or he makes some tracks a little bit more drum heavy, like on Raise Me Up, or he kind of expands on the piano melodies on the spaces in between. And the funny thing is, like every track on this, apart from like two of them, I think, they range between like 8 and 12 minutes. So these aren't like little kind of radio numbers with the usual kind of standard like structures. These are very slow burn tracks. They never feel like they're dragging or taking too long to get to the point at all. But they do take you on that kind of journey on each track. There was one track that it didn't really hit me the same as the rest, and it was actually the shortest track on the album. A track called Colours, which is just over like 4 minutes. It sits right in the middle of the album, and it feels very much like a kind of middle piece before the second half of the album starts. I didn't dislike the track at all. I just, I understood the purpose of it, but it didn't grab me on the first couple of listens. When I was listening, I was actually thinking this would have worked really well as an instrumental track. I loved the kind of the dual guitars against each other. They were brilliant. Over time, it's grown on me. Although I didn't instantly love it, but the more and more I listen to it, the more I'm starting to kind of like it. But that was the only one track that I didn't completely gel with straight away. That aside, I think this is an absolute gem of an album, and that feels like I'm kind of selling it short, to be honest. I don't think my words could do this justice at all. It's just absolutely stunning.
I think there's going to be an irony here that we've been ribbing Kyle for about a year about giving out a particular grade on his first review in 2021, and I guess I can't speak for Dave, but I know where I'm leaning towards. I'm about to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it may not be like an album that will compete with the heavy releases of 2022, but I think it'll hit you in a completely different way. I think the emotional depth that Patrick manages to put across on this will just blow you away. And I imagine it will kind of keep doing so for a long time afterwards. I love this. Absolutely love this album. Stunning. So, it's time for the all-important ratings. Duncan, what are you thinking?
I'm just saying that all the cool kids on their first review in a year give out a 5 stars, which is I think this is fucking awesome. I honestly, this so I said to you last week when we were doing the podcast that I'd listened to a few of the numbers you'd sent through, and I was really struggling because the quality just seemed incredibly high for the start of the year. Like that way where you're like, right, I'm easing myself into, this is a 5-star album, all right then. And that's kind of where I sit with this. I can see me returning to this loads this year. just as a way to break up other parts. But I also feel it as a great way. Like, and this is kind of like chicken soup for the soul. You know what I mean? This is an easy listen against the backdrop of almost anything. I get a feeling that people might think we've lost our minds, Dave, because a couple of weeks ago we were espousing the benefits of brutal death metal. But 40 Watt Sun, the real deal. Perfect Light is a perfect album. 5 out of 5.
Excellent. Kyle, for your first review of 2022.
Well, the last time I was at my mum's house in England, it was a while ago. She had this lamp, and I said, "What sort of light bulb is that?" And she said, 40 watts on it.
Now, see if Patrick comes to us and says, "That's how I got the name of my band." Yeah. I was chatting to this guy in some pub just outside Hertfordshire.
As much as I am not getting along with it right now, I can see myself coming back to it and giving it another shot. And it is absolutely flawlessly executed, so I am going to come out with a 4 out of 5 on it, because it is a fucking great album that I just didn't get along with, and it's not fair of me to score it down because of that.
Okay, fair enough. For myself, what we've said, we can't throw out 5s on the first review of the year. It's not allowed. It's in the rule book.
Join me.
We're not allowed to do it.
Join me. Break the rules. See, breaking rules, Dave. So cool.
I kind of disagree with Duncan on something as well. I know you said like it had to be like a full album piece that you listen to as an album.
Oh, I have to. I can't do it. Like, by the time a song finishes, I want the next one in. So
I easily went to that one track that kind of got me right in the feels.
Behind my eyes.
That I went to that track constantly. Just listen to that on its own, and it's just fucking amazing. I love it. That being said, this is still a 5-star album.
Yeah.
I cannot score this any lower. It's just,
you pair of bastards.
Well, see, it's a new year now.
Last year, you can't give out a 5-star album your first fucking.
I want to stress. Like, I didn't use the term. I'm giving it my only 5-star of the year, right? On my first review. That's what you did, and then you gave it 3. And that recording, you didn't give it 3 in that recording. I didn't. No, I now know how it feels.
15 stars to the album.
I now know how it feels, but I'm glad that Dave come in with a 5 as well, because we are now the majority instead of the minority, and it's easier to legitimize something when you're in the majority.
Yeah. It was.
Kyle's rage.
It would be scandalous if I scored as anything lower than a 5. It would be scandalous. Absolutely.
It's the sort of album you can feel yourself like. Even if someone comes up and starts talking about the heaviest music and then says what you've been listening to this year, it's very difficult not to say 40 Watt Sun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really difficult.
Yep.
So yeah.
So this one drops on January 21st via Cappio Records and Svart Records. The album's called Perfect Light. I will put some links below to the 40 Watt Sun Facebook and to the pre-order. I think we've got like a big cartel website that you can check out with all the pre-order stuff. So check those out. Let us know what you think. I know it's not our usual type of album that we'd review normally. We usually do a lot of kind of heavy stuff, but check it out. Have a listen to some of the songs.
There'll be plenty of the heavy stuff coming this year. Don't need to worry.
Oh yeah, hundreds.
We're not changing. Let's just put that. That's not going to happen. So,
but I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. So stick some comments below once you've checked it out. That is the review. Thank you for checking it out. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
5 out of 5. I don't believe it.